The plan was, okay, get this bag and then start building your emergency fund. And then I got that bag and I was like, oh, I like that bag too. Hi guys, my name is Keia and this is my first video. I'm so nervous, oh my goodness. Whew. But I'm gonna talk about how I got out of debt, how I had a debt-free journey and I got right back into debt. Oh my gosh, I've been so scared to start this channel because I always wanted to be the person who like arrived at the victorious place and was like, oh yeah, I got out of debt. This is how I got here. But I'm just realizing like I have to be transparent about my journey and just like the ups and downs of it and like actually share my struggle while I'm going through it, like in the midst of it, in the middle of it, and not be ashamed of that. So yeah, I'm gonna be sharing how I got out of debt, celebrated that, was so excited about that, and got right back to square one. I guess another like starting point for me, like that made me nervous about recording this was that you always see people on social media who will be like, oh yeah, you know, people who prioritize fleeting things over long-term goals, that's shameful. Oh my goodness, if you're out here, your money's in your closet and not in real estate, what are you doing? And I was so ashamed because I'm like, that's me. That's me. But honestly, I have to be like, I realize I need to just be transparent about it because there are many people, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's dealing with this. I'm not the only material girl out here who has prioritized the wrong things and wants to get on the right track. So if you are interested in my journey and hearing my story, then I welcome you to stay here. I'm gonna tell my story and there's gonna be many more videos to come, sharing just like the things that I've learned over the journey, sharing my second debt-free journey. And yeah, thank you for tuning in already and I'll just get into it. So I'll get into pre-2020. So I've always been a spender. I love like all things fashion, clothes, things like that. I'm not a natural saver, I'm a spender. Like I will have my bills covered, I'll have the basics covered, but like if I'll go to Aritzia. Okay, I'm gonna go and shop. Like if I can go shop, I will go and shop. So that's always been kind of my spending behavior. But I came to a point and I realized I'm like, you're an adult. You're an adult and there are like, yeah, you can have the bare minimum savings, but you should probably be saving up more than that. You should probably be tackling your student loans. You've been graduated from time. So this was around 2018 when I came to this conclusion where I was like, you know what, I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck. And a part of that is obviously because of income, but then another part of it was because money came in and money went, but like to frivolous things. So I was like, you know what, I gotta get a hold on this. And at that point, I had about $20,000 in debt, $17,000 for a student loan, and my mom and stepdad saved up for my university and I still ended up with a student loan. That's another story for another time. Like my uni was paid for, but anyways, I ended up with a $17,000 student loan and then I had about $3,000 in personal debt. So I got to a point where I was sick of it. And I was just like, you know what? I went on YouTube and I was like, let me look up how to get out of debt. And if you've ever Googled or like looked up on YouTube how to get out of debt, you've probably come across Dave Ramsey. And I love that man. That's like an uncle to me. And I went right in. I was like, okay, no, like I need to stop my I need to stop my frivolous spending. I need to delay gratification. I need to cut up my credit card. I need to tackle the student loan. That's exactly what I did. I saved up a small emergency fund. I cut up my credit card. I paid it off and I started tackling my student loan. And that was like a time of serious sacrifice because I was like missing out on, I couldn't go on vacation with friends. I would be sitting out on a lot of like dinners and things that I enjoyed to do with my friends, like get-togethers, because I was just like, you know what? I actually have a goal that I need to reach. So that was the sacrifice that I had to do. And towards the end of that, I would say around 2019, I was like, let me expedite this. And I got myself a part-time job and I was working nonstop. I was working my full-time job and I'd go straight from my full-time job to my part-time job. And yeah, I was just tackling my debt. But at the same time, I was also living at home. So I paid rent at home, but rent at home and rent when you move out, and plus groceries and all of those things, that's a whole different ball game, whole different story. So one thing that I realized was like I was able to tackle my debt, but I didn't really get to the root of my spending issues, because I could still spend and still kind of treat myself here and there while tackling my debt. So that didn't really catch up to me until I moved out, but I'll get there. I will get there. But yeah, so yeah, I started working a part-time job for about a little bit over a year, but in less than a year, I was able to actually tackle my debt and become debt-free in March 2020. So I ended up staying in that part-time job longer because of the sector I was in. And I was like, you know what, I can save, I can save more money. It's COVID, like the help is necessary right now, I'll stay on, and it works out. Like, it's close to home, it just works in my schedule right now. So I ended up staying on with the intention of saving. But yeah, so 2020 came around, and I remember I got out of debt. It was March 12th, either March 12th or March 15th, 2020. And then I remember the world locked down like 2 days later. The world literally not locked down 2 days later. And I remember, I didn't really take in how much that affected me and like my spending behavior until I looked back on it like maybe a year to 2 years later, like 2022 now. So like even 2 years later, just over the past couple of years, I looked back on my backslide and I was like, oh, this makes sense. I think because I was delaying gratification for so long, working my full-time job, working my part-time job, not having any time, like barely having any time. My time that I had, I was like family, friends, church, nothing else, which is like, I mean, that's still my life to this day. That's all the capacity I have. But like, it was really that, like, there was really nothing extra because I couldn't afford it, because I had my goal at hand. But I think once 2020 hit, like, because I had these plans, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna, like, once my debt is paid off, I'm gonna save up. I'm gonna go on vacation. I haven't been able to go on vacation for so long. There was also another milestone gift that I had promised myself that I was gonna get. It was a bag that I was looking at since I was like a teenager, not even younger. I wanted this bag for so many years, and I always told myself, I was like, okay, I'm not going to buy, one thing about me is I'm not gonna buy like high ticket things on credit. Like that, like it wasn't the high ticket things that got me back in debt. It's the little foxes that spoil the vine, okay? Like, it's those little impulsive things. But I always had planned, like, okay, once I reach this milestone, I'm gonna get this. So I had that plan. And I think just the sadness of being on lockdown and knowing like I actually couldn't like enjoy the things that I had been delaying for so many years, I went crazy with the spending. And like, I realized I felt so accomplished once I reached that, but I was still on a marathon, because at the end of the day, when you pay off your debt, like, the marathon's not over. That's just a stop on the marathon. I think I failed to realize, like, or I knew it, like, I knew I wasn't like, my journey wasn't complete. Like, this was just gonna be a stop. But instead of celebrating reaching that milestone on my marathon and just taking a sip of water, it's like I stopped and took many shots of Hennessy, and I lost control. Like, I literally lost control. Yeah, so like, this bag that I had always dreamed of getting, and I told myself once I paid off my debt, I was gonna get that for myself. I did do that. But then the plan was, okay, get this bag and then start building your emergency fund. And then I got that bag and I was like, oh, I like that bag too. Let me get that bag too. But it's okay though. I'm in the clear, because, you know, I'm buying these with cash. I'm not buying these on credit. Everything I'm buying, like all of these little luxury purchases, I'm buying them with cash. So I don't need to worry about, like, I'm good. I'll get to that fund in due time. Meanwhile, I also needed to purchase a car. So that was actually, my plan was pay off debt, build an emergency fund, save for a car. I kind of gave myself leeway. I was like, okay, I'm gonna pay off debt, buy myself one bag. It was meant to be one. Buy myself one bag, and then I will save for an emergency and save for a car. Anyways, but yeah, so one bag quickly turned into two, quickly turned into a pair of shoes, quickly turned into small leather good accessories. All of those were made with cash, so I was making excuses. But then as time went on, there'd be a sale at my favorite store and I'm just like, well, and sorry, this is a disclaimer as well. This is just some background as well. I didn't have a credit card for the whole time I was paying off debt. I got a credit card again because I didn't have a car and I used to rent cars whenever I needed to leave, like go outside of the city where I live. So I'd rent a car, and in Canada, you can't actually rent the car without a credit card. I mean, if you can, maybe you can now, but at that time I couldn't because I used to use a Visa debit. So I was like, okay, well, let me just get a credit card with a low limit. So then it turned from renting a car to putting a little purchase on it here and there, but it's okay, I'll pay it off. I pay it off right away anyways. I have the cash, I pay it off. And then it became, oh, well, I'll buy this now. Oh, there's a sale here, I'll buy this now. And I get paid in 3 days, so I'll pay it off when I get paid. And then that turned into, oh, well, there's a sale here. I don't get paid for 2 weeks, but you know what? I'll pay it off in 2 weeks. And then that just slowly brought me back into the cycle of just purchasing on credit and bad spending habits. That's literally what brought me back to there. And like there had been many times, and that was another thing as well. I always credited myself. I have excellent credit. Like my credit is excellent. That was another excuse that I was giving myself. But it's just like, okay, you have excellent credit, but like you're living paycheck to paycheck by force now because you're not delaying gratification. You're not sticking to the goal, saving for your emergency fund. I mean, saving up your emergency fund, saving for the things that you need right now that are crucial to the future, but you keep fulfilling your flesh. Like I kept fulfilling my flesh. I kept instantly gratifying myself. I moved from the space of delaying gratification because I was so sick of it. I was so sick of feeling like held back that I was like, okay, once this is done, now I'm going, like I just went crazy. Like I said, instead of taking a drink of water, I took shots of Hennessy. Like I needed to relax. But yeah, and I think I also just realized like I had some bad coping mechanisms with 2020 and the lockdown. Like I didn't like the and I won't blame it on I will blame part of it on the isolation because I think I realized like that was like a coping mechanism to feeling lonely, a coping mechanism to being able to get out and about, I guess you can say. Like, so because of that, like I lost track of my long-term goals, and my goals felt so, like, I think I also realized like my goals felt so far away that I felt despair. And I felt despair and I was like, well, they're so far away, so you know what? I just gotta do what I gotta do. So something I said I would never do was get a car loan. And guess what she did? Guess what I did? I got a car loan. I got a brand new car because I was just like, you know what? There's no way in sight that I don't foresee myself saving for a car, to get a car in the next 6 months. So I'm just gonna get a loan. And honestly, if I really stuck to my goals and stuck to my guns, I could have done that. I could have actually saved up and got myself a good used car. But because I was just in that mindset of like instantly gratifying myself, I need to get this. I just threw in the towel and I was like, you know what? Whatever. Everybody has a car loan, blah, 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 blah. And what's so crazy is like, in order to, when you've had enough, like, and I'm gonna reference Dave Ramsey again, but when you've had enough, like you have to be like sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like, and that was the place that I was at when I first started paying off, like when I first paid off debt. I was just like, and another thing that he says is like, don't be normal. Like, it's normal to have debt, be weird. And like, I fully was like, you know what? No, I'm being weird. I was being weird. I was turning down invites to this, that, and the third, left, right, and the center. And part of that is because I'm introverted. But then also part of it was because, no, I actually have a goal that I need to reach. But yeah, it's like, I stopped being weird and I became normal. And I was just like, you know what? I need a car right now, because I did. But instead of busting it for the next 6 months and continuing with renting cars, I was just like, one day I was just like, you know what? Let's go to the dealership, Mom. And I got a car. And that's not to say, like, I love my car, but I didn't, for the goals that I want to reach, the goals that I wanted to reach, that took me off course 1000%. And I think that was just like, that was the beginning. That was like the beginning of the end of my financial backslide back into debt, because now I had debt again. Now I literally had debt again. So yeah. So after I had justified that, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to save up the full emergency fund, and then I'm going to, after I save the full emergency fund, then I'm gonna tackle my car loan. I'm gonna pay it off super early, blah, blah, all of these things. But that never happened because I wasn't actually addressing, I was still shopping. I was still buying things that I didn't need. I was just still shopping when it was so unnecessary. So that also threw that goal off of track. I think summer 2020, it's so crazy. Like spring 2020, I got out of debt. In summer 2020, I just went down a rabbit hole of shopping. I just let loose and I just unraveled, like I just undid all the progress. It's like, you know, when you go on a diet or like you're on a weight loss journey and you go on a diet and you lose all the weight and then you binge after, but you're supposed to maintain. Like when you go on a caloric deficit, you're supposed to, like, to lose weight, you do that, but then after there's maintenance calories. You don't lose all the weight and then just return to your old vomit. That's exactly what I did. I returned to my vomit, and that got me back to where I am today. So yeah, and I realized, like I said, looking back, it was just like maybe bouts of like isolation, despair, a bit of despair because of the circumstances. But yeah, it's just really annoying, but I just have to be accountable and be honest. So yeah, so I said my car was like the beginning of the end of my financial backslide. But then I moved out. So like I said before, when you live at home, like I paid rent at home, I bought my own food, but that's not the same as market rent outside of your parents' house and groceries outside of your parents' house, and plus other things like internet, all of these things. I didn't pay for those things. So I now had a car loan, and then I was like, I need to move out because honestly, I don't regret that at all. Like that independence is so necessary. I'm an only child. I've definitely grown up spoiled and there's no other word, spoiled. I've definitely grown up spoiled, but I was like, I need to, like for myself, for my own personal growth, I need to leave and have that independence. So I don't regret that at all. However, I do regret not staying on track with my finances because I took what I could get away with spending wise and living paycheck to paycheck at home. I brought that into moving out, like living on my own situation or living with a roommate situation, and that couldn't fly. That spending actually caught up to me. And then once that spending actually caught up to me, this is how I got to where I am today. So yeah, this channel, honestly, like this is pretty much a long intro into what my channel is gonna be about. I'm filming this for my own accountability, first of all. My own accountability on my second debt-free journey, because I'm realizing purchasing clothing, like first of all, finding identity in clothing. Like fashion is something that I've loved from a young age. I love clothes. I love like putting things together. I love feeling put together. I'm very girly, so I really enjoy these things, but finding identity in it is not it at all. And honestly, where your treasure is, your heart is gonna be. And my heart is clearly in my closet. My car is clearly in my closet. I remember shopping at a place before, and one of the tags, like they gave like a tag in the box, and it was something like, oh, it's like, I like my money where I can see it in my closet. And I was just like, that's very embarrassing, but that's me. That's me. And it actually cannot be me anymore. I'm too grown for this. There's legacy to save for. There's so many better ways I can manage my money, the money that I've been blessed with, the money that I've been given the privilege to steward. So yeah, this is gonna be accountability. First of all, this is going to be accountability. I want to, as I learn this and like unlearn some habits, I want to also encourage others to find their own personal style, because one thing that I realized as well was like, for someone, for me who likes clothing, I know what works for me. I know what works for me, but then also get so tempted by like trends and trying to search out the latest and the greatest and trying to keep up with those things. But keeping up with the latest and the greatest will keep you broke. It will keep you broke. So I want to, like, as I tailor my own personal style, also encourage other people to do the same. Encourage myself, and also encourage you guys to take your personal finance serious. And also the faith aspect of being a steward over the finances that I've been blessed with. They're not mine. They're not mine to just squander at this store and that store and keep in my closet. like, I want to be generous. I want to be more generous. And to be completely honest, like, what another thing that's just so crazy to me as I'm just thinking about this is, like, I remember, like, during my first debt-free journey, like, I was giving that whole time. Like, I gave that whole time. Like, so I'm a believer. I'm a believer in Christ, like, in Jesus. And during that time, like, I was giving to my church consistently. Like, I never stopped giving when I was in my first debt-free journey, because that was important to me. I'm like, okay, it's important to contribute to building God's church, so I'm gonna do that. And I thoroughly believe, like, me being generous, like, helped me. There are so many different opportunities that, like, aside from my full-time job and my part-time job, like, there was just money provided to me in other ways as well, that I'm like God really had my back. And then I realized once I was, like, just returning to my vomit, returning to my old spending habits, I started, let me be completely honest, like, there was times where I was like, I have my money that I'm setting aside to give, and I'm gonna shop with that. And I did that on multiple occasions. Embarrassing. But it's just like, where my priorities literally completely warped. So I want to talk about finance, like personal finance, and that aspect of, like, keeping the long-term goals as #1 priority over the short-term goals, and really digging deeper into, like, finding identity in material things and materialism, and overconsumption of material things over long-term goals. And just also, as well as, like, as a Christian, like, my identity cannot be found in these fleeting things. And so just, like, kind of navigating all of that. So yeah, it's accountability, it's personal style and personal fashion, and finding what works for you, what works for me, and also what works for you, and going on a journey together. So, like, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching, but continue with me on this journey. I'm picking up my phone right now because this is actual accountability for this second debt-free journey, and I want to be transparent so that you can also be transparent with yourself as well. So I'm filming this video today on August 4th, 2022, and as of today, I have, in credit card debt, I have $2,755. In a personal loan, I have $3,279.33. And in my car loan, I have $27,960.22. A whopping total of $33,994.55. Dang, like, that's literally more than I paid off before. So it's actually kind of, like, cringy to say, but I just have to say it to just be accountable and to be honest. And yeah, my goal is for December, for my 30th birthday. So I turned 30 on December 5th. My goal is to pay off that credit card loan, and also that personal loan. That means the credit card debt and the personal loan by December 5th, 2022. So me actually sharing this is, like, true accountability, because I'm not about to embarrass myself out here and not meet that goal because I'm giving into instant gratification all the time. So yeah, just being honest with that. I need to pay that off by December 5th. Then that way I can also tackle my car loan way faster than the term that I have it for. Yeah, that's just me being honest. But thank you for joining me today. And I hope that through delving in my own personal journey, like looking at my spending habits, looking at my materialism and how that's, like, panned out in my own life, I hope that while I flesh it out for myself, that I can inspire you as well. So thank you so much for joining me today on this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.